And now we're moving into activity 5.5b, CAD Model Features Part 2, and we're going to explore some other new tools in Autodesk Inventor. So for this first one, we're going to be talking about the Mirror tool, but we're going to be specifically talking about it when we're in a sketch. So we'll be using some lines, some rectangles, some circles. We'll also be applying those geometric constraints that we learned earlier. We'll be using a construction line, and then we'll finally get to that new tool called Mirror. We're not going to do a fillet, we'll save that for later. And then in the features, we'll save that one for later too. So this is the one we're going to do first. Now they don't give you any dimensions, so you're going to follow along with me so you can see the dimensions and see the proper constraints and things like that, and then we'll show you the new tool. And before you go ahead and actually get started with me in Inventor, the first thing that you need to do is create a new folder. And this folder is going to be specifically called 5.5 CAD Model Features Part 2. All of the objects or tools that you're learning, or all the files that you're making for this page in the OneNote binder, are going to get saved into that folder. So after you've made the folder, let's go ahead and open up Inventor and do a new part file. We're going to go with our standard inch IPT and click Create. And then the first thing I want you to do is a file save as, and I want you to call it, we'll call it Mirror Sketch. Okay, because we're going to do another mirror later, so we're going to specify exactly which one we're doing. So call it Mirror Sketch, and then hit save, or I'm sorry, make sure you go into that folder that we just made for part 2, and then hit save. And then we're going to do a new 2D sketch on the front plane, and we're going to start out with a rectangle right at the 0, 0. So I'm going to go rectangle, snap to that, and my dimensions, I'm going to do a 2 by 3 rectangle. So go 2, tab 3, enter. Okay, got my sketch. It's fully constrained already on that part. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to go ahead and move this dimension over here. And I'm actually going to move this dimension down here just by clicking and dragging. Alright, so if you remember, we're kind of drawing something similar to this, but the first thing we need to do is turn this line into a construction line. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to hit escape to get out of that tool. Actually, this dimension's getting in my way. I'm going to bring that up all the way actually instead. I was trying to click on this line and it was clicking the dimension, so I just moved that up. Alright, so I'm going to click on this line, and then I'm going to click on the construction line option. Okay, so now that has turned that into a construction. Remember, construction it will not be used if we try and extrude it, so it won't recognize that as an object line. Okay, so then let's draw in those circles. So I'm going to go Circle Tool. I'm just going to draw somewhere in this vicinity and draw a circle. Then I'm going to reference that center point from the existing circle and draw another one right there. Okay, so now this one is aligned with that one because I referenced that center. Hit escape to get out of the circle tool. Then let's add in a dimension. Let's figure out how big we want one of these. So I'm going to add a dimension to this, and I'm going to go 0.5. And now I'm going to use an equal constraint. I want this one to stay equal to that. So I'm going to go equal. I'm going to click on the one with the dimension first, and then click on this one after. So now this one will always stay equal to that one. If I change this one to 0.75, the other one's going to change with it. But I'm going to hit Control Z. I want to keep it at 0.5. Alright, so we have size dimensions for the holes, or for the circles, but now we need location dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and dimension from the center to the construction line, and I'm going to change that to 1.4 and go ahead and do that. And then I am going to, now notice that this one moved and this one didn't, so we can go ahead and fix that by doing something new. I'm going to show you how to make dimensions equal to each other. So what I want you to do is just double click on this 1.4 dimension. And I want you to know what it's labeled. It's labeled as D3. So Inventor knows this dimension is D3. So double click on yours. Yours may be different. So click on your 1.4. What is yours? Remember that. Mine is D3. So now when I go and add this dimension, I'm going to click here, the center, and click here, right? But this time I'm going to put an equals D3. What that means is that this dimension will always be equal to whatever D3 is. So whatever yours was, you're typing in that. It might have been D4, D2, whatever this was, you're putting equals D3. Let me hit the check mark. Notice the FX. So if I change this number now, so if I change this to 1.25, notice that this one also changed with it. But I want that to stay 1.4, so I'm going to just change that back. So now we're good. The circles still aren't fully constrained. I gave this dimension, but I need a dimension from here to here now. So I'm going to go dimension, click this, click the center, and I'm going to change that to 0.75. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did last time with this one. I'm going to make this dimension equal to this one. So I'm going to double click on that. That was D5. So this one was D5. Alright. So I'm going to go dimension from my bottom line up to the center. But this one I want to say equals D5. So now if I change this one will automatically change with it. So we're doing good. We're fully constrained, but we're currently missing the rectangle here in the middle still. So we got to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do rectangle, and make sure you're not referencing anything. I don't want to see any dotted lines. I'm just going to left click somewhere here. I'm going to drag it down, and then I'm going to type in, let's see, I want the width to be 0.4, and then I'm going to tab to get to the height, and the height is going to be 1.5. Enter. So I got a 0.4 by 1.5 rectangle. But we need to put in some location dimensions. So we have size dimensions, but we need location dimensions. So I'm going to hit escape to get out of the rectangle tool. Notice we're missing 2 dimensions. So what I'm going to do is use a construction line first. I'm going to go line tool, and I want to snap to the midpoint of this other construction line. So see the green dot? As soon as I get to the middle, boom, snap into midpoint. I'm going to left click once there and just go straight across and left click over here. Hit escape to get out of line tool. The only problem is that that is an object line. I want it to be construction. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and change it to construction by clicking this icon up top. Hit escape to get out of the tool. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to constrain the middle of this rectangle to this line, which is right in the middle of the entire object. So to do that, I'm going to use my coincident constraint. So I'm going to click on that. Now you need to make sure that you click the midpoint of this line of the rectangle. So I'm going to click on that midpoint, I'm going to left click, and then I'm going to left click the construction line. As soon as I do that, you'll notice that 2 of the lines became constrained, but 2 of the lines are still green. So I'm going to hit escape, and you'll notice that down on the bottom we still need 1 dimension. And that dimension that we need is the distance from here to here, or you could do it from here to here, either one. We need a location dimension off of one of the vertical edges of the overall shape. So I'm going to go ahead and go and do a dimension. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to go dimension, and I'm going to left click this line and then left click my construction line, and that we're going to set to 0.25. And now I'm fully constrained. So again, we use some construction lines, we use dimensions, we used constraints, all to create this initial sketch. But we're still not to the new tool yet. That was all just setup. The goal of this is to create this. So we have half of the sketch drawn, but we need the other half. Now since this thing is symmetrical, I can mirror it along that construction line that I drew. So I can take this and mirror it over the construction line to get this side. And again, we're doing this all in a sketch. So to mirror all of this over here, I'm going to first just select it all, left click, hold, and drag a box around it. And then up top up here in the pattern panel, you'll see the mirror tool. So I'm going to left click that, So we already selected our stuff, so I'm going to go straight to the mirror line here. I'm going to click on mirror line, and then I'm going to click my construction line here, because that's the line I want to mirror across. Then I'm going to hit apply. As soon as I hit apply, it automatically mirrors everything to the other side. So I'm going to say done, and now I'm going to finish the sketch. And actually, you know what? No, go back into that sketch. And I'm going to pull this dimension down and pull these in and tighten this up just a little bit. So this is what I want you to, and actually, you know what? Turn on. So this is what I would like you to mirror or to screen clip into your binder. Make sure the constraints are turned on. Remember, right click, show all constraints. I want to see the constraints. I want to see that you use the mirror tool. That's what this symbol is. And then screen clip this into your binder. And then to finish up, you could just hit finish sketch and just do a save So this one's just going to be a sketch. Just save that into that folder and we're done with this one.